It's been a rough 5 years for Miami. The Hurricanes are just 33-28 the last 5 seasons with 3 bowl losses and 2 losing seasons, including last year when the Hurricanes went 5-7 in year 1 under Mario Cristobal. So the question now is, can this be the year that the U turns things around? That's what we're going to find out today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today, ready to break down everything you need to know about the Miami Hurricanes. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. If you want a guaranteed winning season, guaranteed money, profits right back in your pocket, the best customer service that any handicapper in the country is going to give you, this is the place for you. We have beat out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years. You do not want to miss out on this offer, guys. One of the lowest prices in the country for the best picks in the country. Go sign up today. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. Become a member of our Patreon Wall of Fame and send us some gear. We've got our mailing address down in the description below. Send us some gear to represent your favorite team. We'd love to get some U gear up here, whether it's a Miami helmet, Miami pennant, maybe a turnover chain or something like that. We'd love to get some of that in here to represent the Canes in every single Gridiron Expert video. So let's take a look at Miami, guys. I will say this, right? Let's preface it with this. Last year under Mario Cristobal was not ideal. A 5-7 season was not what many of us, or any of us, expected. But Miami, they were riddled by injuries. So the talent wasn't there maybe to go win 10, 11 games, anything like that, but it was much better than 5-7. No doubt about it. But Miami was hit hard by injuries. I think that's something that we kind of don't really take into account when we look at Miami. People are talking about the Hurricanes heading into this year. You take a look at the offense. A lot of talent coming back. 9 starters back after just averaging 23.6 points per game. Tyler Van Dyke was pretty dang good in 2021. Took a major step back last year, but that was obviously because he also couldn't stay healthy. I think you're going to see a similar form of Tyler Van Dyke from 2021 this year in 2023, if he can stay healthy, of course, but mostly because of the new offensive coordinator in Shannon Dawson coming in from Houston. Did great work with the Cougars, done great work throughout his career. I think he does the exact same thing and kind of rejuvenates Van Dyke's career with Miami. Henry Parrish returns at running back after rushing for over 600 yards last year. They do lose their leading wide receiver in Will Mallory, but everyone else is back when it comes to pass catchers. So they've got a lot of talent. They also add in Tyler Harrell from Alabama, and the offensive line as a whole should improve after giving up 36 sacks last year. So all in all, guys, this offense for Miami should take a major step forward. 23.6 points per game last year. If they stay healthy and things pan out, I could see them flirting with at least 30 points per game, which would be a huge boost. Defensively, 10 starters are back. So 19 starters total back for Miami in 2023. They allowed 26.8 points per game last year, 377 yards per game, but their top 3 tacklers do return this year, led by Cameron Kinchins and James Williams, both in the secondary. The defensive line looks like it's going to be really, really strong this year. They had 37 sacks last year. Wouldn't be surprised to see them match that total, maybe even eclipse it in 2023. Lance Guidry in from Marshall was a huge boost at defensive coordinator. Mario Cristobal made some great hires, utilized the transfer portal well. We know Cristobal is a good coach. If they can stay healthy, something that none of us can control, Miami should be back in contention for an ACC title, should be back to playing solid competitive football, unlike we saw last year. You take a look at Miami's schedule. It isn't great, but it definitely could be worse. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world, although drawing Clemson and NC State and North Carolina all on their schedule, plus A&M in the non-conference, isn't ideal. I mean, drawing some of the top teams within the conference and a solid SEC team is not ideal for your schedule. I do think they start the year off 1-0. They'll beat Miami, Ohio. But I do think they fall to Texas A&M in week 2 to start the year at 1-1. This is a battle between 2 teams that are going to be drastically improved. 2 5-7 teams last year that will be drastically improved in 2023. And last season's meeting was one that I really feel like Miami should have won, right? Miami, to me, outplayed Texas A&M. They lost 17-9 in College Station, but they outgained the Aggies by 128 yards. Miami just could not convert in the red zone. They kept shooting themselves in the foot, settling for short field goals that, had they been touchdowns, would have won the game. They muffed the punt, which led to an A&M touchdown. If that doesn't happen, they very well could have won, probably would have won the game. So Miami, to me, was the better team, but they missed a golden opportunity because now A&M is going to be drastically improved just like Miami. 20 starters back for the Aggies. Very experienced squads, but A&M to me a little bit more experienced. The offense to me owns the edge. Connor Whiteman and Bobby Petrino teaming up on that offense. Got a great running back core, got a great wide receiver core. A&M not going to miss a beat there. Defensively, they were solid last year. We saw what happened last year. They wouldn't let Miami in the end zone. Didn't even let them in the end zone. And this defense has a chance to be even better than they were in 2022. So I think A&M has enough to come on the road, steal this win from Miami, but this is going to be a great measuring stick for both programs. Both teams that need a bounce-back season. How each of these teams looks in Week 2 is going to be a great indication of what happens the rest of the year. Miami drops this game, though, 1-1, and I do think they win. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, their next 3 games will jump the bye week. I think they beat Tim Cookman, obviously. They beat Temple, and they beat Georgia Tech, who they beat by 21 points last year. Dominated the game defensively, only allowing 14 points, obviously, winning the turnover battle, +4 in the turnover margin in that game, and then dominating Georgia Tech up front, and that's what the difference maker is here, right? Georgia Tech's offensive line is going to be solid. Brent Key is going to make sure of that. Miami's defensive line, though, can match them. Last year, Miami had 217 rushing yards in that game against the Yellow Jackets, and Georgia Tech gave up 189 rushing yards per game last year. And I know everybody's last year. That's what we're talking about. But I don't see that drastic of an improvement defensively from Georgia Tech based on who they're bringing back. Competitiveness, yes, but stopping Miami at home off a week of rest, it's just not in the cards. Miami wins that game over the Yellow Jackets, and they are 4-1 heading into a tough 2-game stretch at North Carolina and then hosting Clemson. 4-1, 2 wins away from a bowl game, almost matched last year's win total. Obviously, Miami wants more. The game against North Carolina is interesting, right? Because you would say that last few years, especially on paper, Miami has been the better team. But that has not been the case on the field. North Carolina has won 4 straight games over Miami. Should be noted, though, of the 4 games that Miami has lost, 3 of them have been decided by 3 points. 3 3-point losses in the last 4 years in North Carolina. They've been so close. The same case was last year, right? 27-24 victory for North Carolina. And if you look at Miami, right, they had 538 yards of offense against that terrible Tar Heels defense. 496 of those came through the air. So it was a phenomenal passing performance, a phenomenal offensive performance, but they couldn't get over the hump. Why? Because UNC made just enough plays down the stretch. Also had a great game from Drake May, who had 309 passing yards in the game, and that UNC defense racking up 5 sacks in the game. So now Miami has the honor to go to Chapel Hill to face North Carolina, who returns Drake May, has a much better defense than they did last year, at least they should. 6 of their top 7 tacklers that do return. I just don't see Miami snapping that 4-game winning streak this year. UNC, guys, is the real deal. Drake May, last year was his first year as a full starter, should be even better this season. The offense should be, both teams, great, back and forth quarterback battle between Van Dyke and May, but I give the edge to May. I give the offensive edge as a whole to Drake May in North Carolina. Defensively, maybe lean a little bit Miami here, but home field advantage is going to be the X factor, the deciding factor, the tiebreaker, if you will. North Carolina wins their 5th straight game over Miami, and I certainly don't think the Hurricanes can beat Clemson, who they lost to 40-10 last year. They were held to 98 yards of offense against the Tigers, their lowest offensive total since 1965. And this Clemson team now, guys, has Kate Klubnik, has Garrett Riley as their offensive coordinator, a major upgrade. They've got Will Shipley. They've got Antonio Williams. They've got a defense that's going to be one of the best in the country again. So while Miami, I do think, scores more than 10 points, I don't think they lose by 30. I don't think they beat Clemson. They're not good enough and talented enough and deep enough to beat a Tigers team that will be contending for a college football playoff spot. So they fall to Clemson for their 2nd straight loss, but bounce back with a win against Virginia to close out the month of October. So with that, they have 5 wins. 5 wins with a win over Virginia, arguably the worst team in the ACC this year. Last year was a great game, a quadruple overtime thriller that Miami won 14-12. Heading into the month of November, you take a look at the schedule and you realize it's actually kind of favorable, right? That the 2 road games at NC State and Florida State will not be easy at all, but Miami can hold their own in both of those games. Home game against Louisville, road game at Boston College. So 3 of the final 4 are on the road, but they're not the worst opponents in the world. I will say right now, I think they beat NC State. I think they take down the Wolfpack. You know, I look at this game here, guys, and if Miami, again, stays healthy and the offense pans out the way we believe it will, they have the offensive advantage to me significantly over an NC State team that is dealing with a Brennan Armstrong quarterback situation that he's talented, yes, if he can return to his 2021 form and stay healthy himself. You know, Brennan Armstrong's good. He's getting reunited with his old Virginia offensive coordinator, Robert Anae. It's great, but can he stay healthy and can he win the game solely by himself? I don't think that he can. I have a lot of faith in this Miami offense. I do give him the edge there. NC State defensively, typically pretty strong, but if Miami, again, pans out on that defensive side of the ball and takes that step forward, they can match the Wolfpack step for step. This is a very, very even matchup, and I like Miami, maybe as a slight underdog, to beat NC State in this game. With that, they clinch bowl eligibility. They're 6 wins. They're going bowling, something they didn't have last year, so already doing better than last year. They go on the road to Florida State. I don't think they're going to beat the Seminoles, team they lost to by 42 points. I know it's a great rivalry game, and people get up for the rivalry games and things like that, but they were outgained 454 yards to 188 yards last year, and the Seminoles are going to be even better than they were in 2022. Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Jaheim Bell, new offensive scheme with Mike Norvell. Obviously doing a phenomenal job last year getting them to 10 wins. The defense only allowed 165 passing yards per game. They're loaded with 9 back. It's in Tallahassee. I just don't honestly see any way that Miami overcomes a 42-point swing and beats Florida State. They lose that game, but then they win their last 2. They will beat Louisville, and they will beat Boston College. I think they win both of those comfortably. You take the Louisville game, I think it's big that Miami gets this game at home. It's senior day for them. It's a Louisville team that I don't think can be overlooked in year 1 under Jeff Brom. But once again, it's a Louisville team that is going to be made up of a lot of transfers offensively. It's going to be throwing the ball a little bit more than they have in recent years. Doesn't have that dual threat capability of Malik Cunningham anymore to rely on and to get them out of trouble. And the defense, while great last year, 50 sacks last year, loses 33.5 of those sacks. Still should be strong up front, but Miami should be able to contain that, especially at home. Again, on multiple different aspects, especially offensively, home field advantage. Miami owns that edge. They beat the Cardinals, and then they should cruise past, I think, Boston College. The Eagles allowed 170 rushing yards per game last year. Henry Parrish has himself a day on the ground at BC. Another team that, like Miami, was better than they were last year, or should have been last year, but injuries hurt them. Boston College went 3-9, riddled by injuries. They take a major step forward, maybe make a bowl game this year, but not enough to beat Miami on their senior day. Miami, again, owning the edge in every single aspect of this game. And with that, the Hurricanes finish the year at 8-4. Honestly, a pretty solid year, right? Go from 5-7 to 8-4. You improve your win total by 3, have a shot at a 9-win season, and what should be a pretty solid bowl game. I know it's not exactly what Miami fans are hoping for, right? You want double-digit win seasons. You want to contend for an ACC title. You want to contend for a playoff spot. And I believe that Mario Cristobal will get this team there. But this is only his second year. Only his second year. It's going to take a little bit more time. Miami's not quite there yet to compete against Clemson and Florida State and the big dogs in the ACC. But they will be that big dog sooner rather than later. 8-4 for the Miami Hurricanes in 2023. But next year could be the year they finally break through and contend for a title. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. Become a member of that Patreon Wall of Fame. And, of course, our mailing address. Send us some gear to the mailing address in the description below to get your team represented in every single Gridiron Expert video. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.